Hello and welcome back to part 4 of my Kerbal Space Program series. In this part I'm going to be launching up a small refueling vessel and I'm going to be attaching the final landers to the rocket so it'll be ready to go off. This is a redesign lander to fix some of the problems with the other one, which I'll discuss when I get there. I'm just using my standard launcher rocket and I'm using the normal pseudo lander that I throw into space to dock. So what I'm doing here is I got into a nice close encounter. And I'm just skipping this fuel tank forward. It's literally just a orange fuel tank with a monopropellant, a probe body, and a small battery ring to make sure it doesn't run out of charge. And then it has a docking port at either end. I use this on my other space station, but here I'm just using. It's generally it's a refueling rig basically. That's all it's for. And if I build a bigger space station around another body at some point, I'll probably just get like 3 or 4 of these and stick them on their own docking adapter, so that I won't have to refuel it for quite some time. Excuse me. So what I'm doing here is I'm just manoeuvring around to the opposite docking port, and this was a bit fiddlier than I thought it would be. Probably because the ship, is getting stupid and large. Now, I do the refueling, as we'll get to it, and I think to myself, I need to deorbit this, and I also need to deorbit the lander. So my line of thinking was, I could be smart about this. I'll bring the lander up, and I'll dock on the ship, and then I'll use the RCS and just gently pull away from the ship, move away, get into a orbit in the atmosphere, and I will just burn. Then once I've done that, I'll undock the docking port on the jumbo fuel tank and leave that, and then I'll like tab onto it and time warp through it and watch it at some point, just so I can watch it go down, so I know that it's gone. I don't have to worry about that ever again. And then I'll wait until I'll do some plane alterations, and then I'll wait until it's daytime and I can make a landing over the Kerbal Space Center with the lander unit. And for reasons that will become apparent fairly soon, that didn't quite happen. So I'm bringing it in now, and I'm like, okay, I'll use the little LV909s because they're quite weak and they'll do the job a little faster than the RCS. So I just time warp, get nice and close, and I think, okay. At some point during that, I realised that there's no RCS on the lander. So problem number 1 identified. So I undock this and I think to myself, right, okay then, I'll just go meet this up with the lander unit and everything will be hunky dory. Shortly after that, before the fade out, I realised that the lander doesn't have docking ports either. So, here is the other lander that comes with a bonus attachment. On top of that is a little science plugin. The reason for that is that in my infinite wisdom when I designed the station, I didn't put any antennas on it or any of the scientific instruments at all. So I'm launching this up and I'm going to stick it on the end of the car, and then when I get rid of the rover, I'll just slot that back onto the top docking port. Now the differences between this lander and the one that's currently docked are it has no probes, obviously, because I realised that I want that one to be able to land on Val, and I'm fairly certain that Val has decent gravity. At least I vaguely remember that's what I read. So the current issue with the lander, when a Kerbal gets out of it, he's sideways on the pod, and he just drops out to the ground, which is fine. But in a situation where the gravity is quite strong, he might not be able to get back in it. So I redesigned the lander so that I could land it on places with high gravity and have the Kerbal get in and out. So I removed the docking ports and I put rungs and a telescopic ladder. And in doing so, I then moved things around on the side, so it has a better positioning for the what do you call them? The rover, not rover, landing legs. So those are the things. And I also added changed the parachute positioning a bit, so it's a bit more stable overall, to be honest. I probably won't. The probe lander is neat, but if I build another mission that will use probes, I will build a small docking array with a bunch of probes on it and just use an array of probes. So I'm bringing this in now, just down on the last docking port, and once this is done, I have to disable the fuel transfer on both the landers and the rovers, so that the booster stage doesn't eat it during transfer. and then I'll be waiting until Jool is in a favourable position, and then I'll be well on my way. So with that all said and done, the ship is ready, and I will see you next time.